So, how is Rupert Murdoch's empire dealing with this PR nightmare? Joining me now in the studio is brand expert and managing director of International Marketing Partners, Alison Stewart-Allen. Thanks very much for coming in. So, I think it's fair to say so far crisis management hasn't been that great. Is this apology in the newspapers going to be enough?
No, it's too little too late in a way. I think one of the things that any crisis management expert and corporate diplomat knows is that you actually have to take very quick action. You have to be empathetic, and you have to be very specific. You can't just be general and not be communicative from the very beginning. And so it seems they've been not communicative enough.
And are you surprised that it's just in the newspapers and that they're not on television?
Well, that's one thing that's interesting. It's very hard to show empathy in print. And that wouldn't be the medium of choice, in my opinion, in terms of trying to communicate you really are concerned and you're really taking action.
This business of in the apology, they say in the coming days, as we take further concrete steps to resolve these issues and make amends for the damage they've caused, you'll hear more from us. What concrete steps do you think they need to take?
Well, from what we know, they've already taken some by setting up an internal committee to look at ethics and to look at how they do things. But there needs to be a lot more in terms of concrete steps, really quite fundamentally about the corporate culture. You know, you need to really be encouraging people to come forward when they see things that they think are wholly inappropriate for business to do.
And without being sort of critical of your profession, are people not going to think that it's just all PR and spin? You know, they put out apologies and they just hope that it's all going to wash over and people will, you know, continue buying the paper?
Well, that's an incredibly superficial approach. If you look at what undermined Mr. Hayward, if you look at what undermined
BP.
Correct.
Yeah.
Coca-Cola ran into trouble because they didn't field their chief executive at the time in the late 1999. There was a poisoning of school children in Belgium. You know, all of these executives were undermined because they weren't immediate enough, they weren't specific enough, they weren't emotive enough.
So, I mean, to begin with, Rupert Murdoch said things like he wanted to protect his priority when he came over to the UK when it all was breaking was, he said, this one, which was Rebecca Brooks. She clung on to the job. She's eventually now resigned. Mm-hmm. He also said we've made small mistakes. Do you think that by changing the tone now, it can do enough, or do you think it is too late?
I think when you have the scale of offences that are so personal to so many people. Phone hacking feels very personal. Offering and having bribes accepted, allegedly, by the police feels very personal for people. It's not something that will be very quickly forgotten.
So all eyes are going to be on him at the committee talking to Parliament on Tuesday. Mm-hmm. What does he need to do there?
Well, he needs to be very explicit about what actions he is going to take to uncover any other offences that might be taking place across his entire organisation. Not just the newspapers, but the broadcasting arm and all of the other publishing interests that his company has.
OK, thanks very much indeed, Alison, for coming to talk to us. Thank you.
Thank you.